let's live it out in our community. And we started to meet with our Alpha group on a regular basis outside of the Alpha nights. And we got to know them on a more personal level. We got to cheer each other on for the big milestones in life and also pick people up when things weren't going so well, which was really special. So,
wow. So you kind of move from, being served and supported into kind of saying, okay, now it's our turn.
Welcome to Magnified Ministry Podcast, the podcast dedicated to inspiring, encouraging, and equipping parish leaders to build thriving missionary communities in today's rapidly changing world. This is the Magnified Ministry Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Magnified Ministry Podcast. I'm Marco, joined by my real good friend, Father Peter.
Hello, Marco.
Co-host.
Fall. Look at you in a fall colors. You are really
wearing,
kind of embracing fall in Chicago,
I'm wearing what you call a Canadian tuxedo.
Oh, look at you. I didn't even know that existed.
See, you learn something new every day.
I just did. Good for you.
I'm trying to keep up with the times.
This is exciting.
It is exciting. It's fall.
I love fall in Chicago.
It's fall. It's football season. The leaves are starting to turn. It's finally not 120 degrees in Chicago.
We pray for Cubs and Bears. There's a lot of prayer around.
Yeah, I think prayers are not going to help the Bears, but that's a different story.
Listen, we believe in the power of prayer.
That's a good one. But anyway, what are we doing today besides just trying to figure out if the Bears are going to make it to the Super Bowl this year?
I think they will, and we will continue our conversation on the open generation.
Yes.
So over the last number of weeks, we talk about open generation, the fact that we believe God is really bringing this revival through this next generation, and we see so many people with no really background in faith asking deeper questions about God and Jesus and church. And so this is our great opportunity to understand what people are looking for, how we can help them to meet Christ in the structures of our parishes, and then how they can become his disciples and bring other people into experience of Christ so his kingdom will indeed come among us. So we'll continue that today.
We will. And I think what I have found really heartwarming in the last couple of weeks is we've talked about numbers and statistics and research, all of that. I love, you love, right? Because we're both numbers people and MBAs, as they say. But what I have found the most exciting is the stories that we've heard from people, right? We've had
absolutely.
a number of folks come and share their witness or testimony, and they help you see the statistics in a different way because it actually puts a face, right, to those numbers. And I think that's what I have found just so encouraging, right? That all of these studies and all of these articles that you see coming out of Belgium or France or UK or US, whatever, like they're not just theoretical concepts in the abstract. Like they're actually telling the story and pointing to something really special that's happening, and it's happening right here as well.
Well, and I think, a number of weeks ago, we had 12 chapter of Luke's gospel. And in that gospel, right, mind you, Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem to die. And people ask this question, like, how many people will be saved? And what's funny about it is that Jesus, doesn't answer that question, but he doesn't get into a question of numbers. He doesn't play numbers game, but he switches the question around and he says, are you the person who wants to be saved, right? Do you want to be part of the kingdom? Which I find really wonderful, because I think what Jesus is trying to do is he's saying everyone, because the gospel actually ends with Jesus saying people from the east and the west, south and the north will come and dwell in the kingdom of God. What Jesus says is everyone is welcome. Everyone has a place at the table. But are you extending the table? And are you extending invitation to the table? And I think with open generation, we see people extending the table, but it's so important for parishes to also challenge themselves to extend the table and invite others.
What's interesting, beyond the fact that you just shared a really beautiful gospel, it also sounds like you just gave us a promo for this season of Alpha. Isn't that kind of the tagline? Extend the table?
Extend the table.
Extend the table.
Join us for Alpha, although we have no space.
There's no space. But you're always welcome. And I think what's great about extending the table is getting a chance to talk with people that actually live that out, right?
Yes.
And today we're joined by Amy and Kevin.
I mean, who is excited?
I'm
I'm so
I
excited.
know. They flew in all the way from Kansas
I
City
miss you so much.
just to be in the podcast. So welcome,
Oh my
Kevin,
gosh, it's so good to see you guys.
Amy.
Great to be here.
What
Yeah.
a gift.
I don't even know where to begin.
I mean, either, because like I love you so much and I miss you greatly. And you've done such a profound difference in my life, but also in the life of the people in this community. And it's wonderful to see the difference you made continue through people that you form that now are forming other people. Like, what a great discipleship school that you kind of develop and help us to embrace. So tell us a bit about you. Like, where are you from? You know, how did you get to St. Clement? Just give us a little bit of a background information.
Well, first of all, it's really fun to be back. I mean, I think I speak for Kevin and I both when I say it just feels like coming home. This was such a big part of our story. St. Clement was such a big part of our story. But we moved here in 2019, right before COVID, and were on different sides of the country doing distance, and we met in the middle to be in Chicago. And my sister was at St. Clement, and she said, "Come on, let's go." And so I didn't really have a church home when I was living in Washington, D.C. before Chicago. And so we came in, we're like, okay, let's dive in right to St. Clement. And I think what was great about it is like Theology on Tap was a very easy entry point. I met one of my best friends at Theology on Tap, Caitlin. And so it was just great to come and be able to meet people on a personal level. And then pretty quickly COVID happened, and we did Alpha online, and that was a great way to get connected with people.
Where Father Peter was our Alpha leader.
I know.
Yeah.
We did
It
online.
was wonderful.
I loved it.
And Maureen.
Yes, and Maureen. Oh,
Two
yeah.
power hitters.
Well, they were the second. That was our second season of Alpha, wasn't it?
That was crazy.
That was a Wednesday night Alpha, wasn't it?
That was,
Wow.
I mean, that was like the next step in the invitation of just like, listen, we know the world is changing, but we still want to invest in our parish and in our people. And so we got plugged into that immediately after. So
Yeah, it was great. And then, we started we kind of dove all in, and we started volunteering when the church reopened. And it was just, I enjoyed coming to church every day. Not every day. I should go every day. I don't go every day. But I enjoyed every time I came to church. It felt like I was coming to a place where I was known and cared for. And that was something that I hadn't had since college, maybe even high school. So Kevin and I met through our youth group in high school. And that was a place where I really felt like I belonged. And it was wild to have that again in the Catholic setting, because I had gone to other churches and had that in different denominations, but having that in the Catholic setting was something that I craved.
Kevin, if I can ask a little bit, because you guys did Theology on Top, and then you started with the online Alpha during COVID. And clearly the experience itself wasn't important enough for you guys to kind of lean in more into leadership. So can you just, for people who don't know much about, can you say a little bit about, A, the course, and B, like, what did you get out of it that was meaningful enough that fueled kind of your leadership?
yeah, so for us, Alpha was an opportunity for us to meet other individuals in the church that were asking some of the same questions that we were, like, who is God? What is he doing in my life, and what is he doing in the life of the world? And we were looking for more community, and we got that with the online Alpha. And when we were able to go back in person, we were like, oh, well, this is definitely something that we want to be a part of. And we moved into leading our own Alpha group, and got connected with a group. And it was awesome because there were people from all different walks of life. There were people that were lifelong Catholics, have been practicing for, 25, 30 years. And then there were people that were totally new to the faith and were totally just on that front end of asking the big questions. And and we were all able to get something out of it with the unique perspectives that we all brought, regardless of what stage we were at. And then we took it a step further and we said, well, let's do this whole thing. Let's live the church outside of the building that we're in right now, right? Or the parish hall, right? Like, let's live it out in our community. And we started to meet with our Alpha group on a regular basis outside of the Alpha nights. And we got to know them on a more personal level. We got to cheer each other on for the big milestones in life, and also pick people up when things weren't going so well, which was really special. So
wow. So you kind of move from, being served and supported into kind of saying, okay, now it's our turn to facilitate that for others. What did you find helpful in doing so? Since this is a podcast for church leaders, I think what we want to get across in many ways is helping people to recognize the opportunity they have, that there's people like you in every parish who have a heart for evangelization. It just has to be awakened. And then, so how do you awaken it? But also, how do you create a space that organically happens?
Well, I think Father Peter and Marco too, you encouraging us to lead, was an invitation to lead, was instrumental. It might not have been something that Kevin and I had sought out on our own, but you saying, you guys need to do this, and I think you'd be really good at it, helped us to take that next step to lead.
I remember, I think I was, remember we were doing 3-4 alphas at the same time.
Sure.
And we were running everything, and I think at one point we realized that we can't, be doing everything.
Hundreds of people.
Oh, I know. But the Zoom, I remember trying to teach you how to do the Zoom and letting people in. And you were like, this is not going to happen. And I was like, no, we need to find. So we started inviting people, right?
It was a lot.
Because we just couldn't do it. And I remember one of the things that I felt we really needed to do was not just all the logistics, but also the face, right? So Amy was the first face of Alpha that wasn't me, if you remember that.
That's right.
And I think
face of Alpha.
The first host that wasn't Marco, and for me that was a little bit tough, right? Because I love the fact that every night that we were on Alpha, I'd get on and I'd get to say hello to people. I got to know everybody. I got to know people's names, and everybody knew me. And even during COVID, people would see me oh, you're I see you're so much taller than I thought. You're the guy from Alpha. And that was, it's kind of fun. But being able to step back and seeing how Amy was just so different than me.
Yeah.
And how I think that invitation led to many more yeses for you was cool. Because I remember it took a couple of times talking to you to actually get you comfortable enough to say yes. I don't know what was holding you back, but I remember feeling I'm not going to let this go, right? And I'm glad that I didn't, because you were able to add a dimension that was just so different than what I would have been able to. And I think that's just a testament to what you two are saying, which is, I think as leaders, especially as older leaders, right? Older generations, we want to control everything, right? Because maybe we built a ministry. Maybe we started a ministry. Maybe we were the innovators, 5 years ago. But at some point, you've got to let that go and let that next group of people take it on and make it theirs.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think part of being a growing church is that is one of the most essential things that any leader can do, right? Is to release the power of ministry and then shift it to somebody else. And I forgot about it, but you're right. When we started doing Alpha in person, you guys just did such a great job.
Yeah, she was the host.
Both on engaging people, but also speaking to them in a way that I think it really set their hearts.
And I think too, Marco, from a leadership perspective, so you encouraged me to take the position, which I was unsure about, but you said, I see this in you. And then we chat on the phone once a week. I was like, okay, let's chat on the phone once a week, and you're going to talk me through that next week. And you did a really good job mentoring me and setting me up for success, so that I felt, because I didn't think, why are you putting me in this position? I'm not a good enough Catholic. I'm not a good enough public speaker. I'm not all these things. But you did a really good job helping me feel confident each week.
I like it that we still quote you at least 3 times a week when
It's true.
everybody says, as Amy would say before you pray, you must take a deep
Take
breath.
a deep
That
breath. Every
first
good prayer,
podcast.
every good prayer starts with a deep breath.
And we
Amy
repeat
Castro.
it at least 3
It's
times
true.
a week here at St. Clement. So
It's true.
your mark on the parish, there it is. We always take a deep breath before we pray.
And I think the other piece of talking about thoughts for leaders, right, is, as we think about that first generation of alpha leaders, right,
Yeah.
from like it's crazy, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, however long that was, it was really hard to start letting them go.
Sure.
Right. And I remember the two of you were the first ones that came to us and said, we're not coming back next year. And we were like, what do you mean you're not coming back next year? Like, you can't just leave. It's like, well, we're going to leave because we're taking our group with us. I'm like, what do you mean you're you're not even leaving us with a helper? Like, screw you guys. Like, that's not how it works. But I thought that was a really, really, important moment in that journey of Alpha, because that was the first time a group left, right, and became a church in and
Like
of
a
itself,
live group, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was, to your point, Amit, you guys felt at
Mm-hmm.
home in the church, but it's more than a building, and you were able to, like you were saying, Kevin, you took church out of the building and you brought it into the homes, and you journeyed with people for so long. I mean, you guys were sponsors to Emily. You saw so many people get married. Like, there's just some amazing things that happened from a simple yes, right? And just continuing to hear how God was calling you was cool to see.
One of my favorite moments, it was right over here when we were having small group. 2 of our the folks in our group were getting married, Jen and Dalton, and we took time to pray over them before they went off on their wedding. And it was such a powerful moment because we'd been together as a group for so long, and they were like, we've never experienced something like that before. So that was one of my favorite moments of that group. But yeah, we celebrated, we mourned together. It was something that was really special.
So fast forward to now. So now you moved to Kansas, back home.
Back home.
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
yeah.
That's right. And you guys, I bet it's wonderful to be closer to family, and
They have basically live-in babysitters, I heard. It's amazing.
I know. Thank you to the in-laws, I guess. We love you. But can you talk a little bit about, because now that you have a son and being a married couple with a child, obviously your life changes. Like, again, looking from the perspective of a church leader, when you move to Kansas, what happened or what you wish would happen for couples like you who are uber involved in the church, who really are disciples? Like, how should the parish welcome you and also empower you to continue your discipleship work? Like, what do you say to Catholic leaders, church leaders, would be most helpful?
One specific example of where I felt the most cared for by the church was there's a Mothers of Young Children group, and within a couple of weeks of moving back to Kansas City was the kickoff in the fall. And I came to this meeting, didn't really know anybody, and they gave me a schedule. And it was September through May. Here is everything that's happening. There's programming to bring your kids. There's programming just for the moms. There's programming for the couples. And here's the whole year baked out. And I looked at that, and as working mom, we both work, I travel, there's just a lot going on, to know that there was something carefully planned out for my spiritual development, for things to do with Kevin. And being completely new to the parish, I felt so incredibly cared for. And that is something that I think parish leaders can learn from, is giving something ahead of time and being able to plan around that, because parents are busy.
Yeah.
I hadn't really thought of, I know that's kind of silly. I hadn't thought about that you just don't have time to think for yourself.
Yes.
Right? When you're a parent of a young kid, you can just show up, right? And you just kind of go on the conveyor belt. And I feel like we do that in life anyway. We just kind of put one foot in front of the other. So if there are places and churches are creating it and making it easy, and just show up, right? We'll take care of everything else. That's I really hadn't thought about that.
And if it's on the calendar,
Yeah.
great. Then Kevin and I can plan, if we're both going to, they have these couples dinners, and someone hosted their house, and there's 4 couples, and we know it's going to be that night, and we're gonna get a babysitter. We're gonna have we're gonna have my parents come over
Yeah.
and watch the little one. So that schedule was such a game changer.
Yeah.
What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, the dinners themselves were, I think, the most spiritually enriching for me, just because it was a rotation of new couples every night. So it was four couples, but there was a rotation involved. So it didn't feel like you were, you know, in a small group where, you know, you're meeting with the same people every week, and if there maybe weren't super strong connections, you're not kind of locked into that. That was a great introductory, you know, first year where you're entering into parish life to get exposure to more people, but in an intimate setting where it's 3 other couples, you're sharing a meal. They're in a similar walk of life because they all have children that are young. That was a great way, again, just to make multiple connections quickly and figure out who we wanted to spend more time with, who we felt like we connected with the most, and could walk with in our faith.
So can I ask you both something? So you went from being at St. Clement, right? Hyper engaged, hyper involved, kind of hosting your own sort of life group, and you moved home because you wanted to be closer to family, but leaving this place and this community was probably really hard for you. Now add in a kid and work. Like, how are you both growing in faith, right? And how are you finding that, right? And especially for some of the parish leaders that are listening to us, right? As they look at the next generation, right? Like starting to have kids, dealing with all this stuff is like, how are you doing it? And you can be like, you know what? I'm in the worst place I've been in like 3 years. That's fine. Like, just curious, like how is that going for you? What's working? What's not working? Like,
And what would be most
what
helpful?
would be most
again?
helpful? Yeah.
You want to take this one to start?
I feel like I've hit something.
Well, I think coming from a place where, like I said, is home. This was our community.
Yeah.
You know, after Easter Mass one day, we all just made pizzas in the kitchen here at St. Clement, right? It was just very much of our life. It was
what
just
we did,
easy.
yeah.
It was easy. It was easy. And so I think coming into something that is already established, we helped grow Faith Hub. We helped start the 430. We were part of something that was growing, and now we're a part of something that has already grown, and it's already on its way. So I think that's been the hardest part.
Yeah.
Just figuring out how you fit in.
And depth of friendship, right? We're working,
Sure.
coming into something new. Yes, we're from there, but it's been a long time since we've lived there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even I would say that the being from there, going back to a place where we have roots established, we have family, it can be, it's weird. There's like a dichotomy of, I have all these pre-existing relationships, maybe people that you knew in high school or you knew growing up that are there, and you start to pour into those, but you're like, but I've also got like new families, new friends in our parish that we want to also invest in. And so I felt a little bit pulled in multiple directions after moving back. Whereas here it was very easy to kind of focus our energy into St. Clement and, you know, reap a lot of benefits of like spiritual growth and, you know, friendships and kinship growth. So I think for me, the biggest challenge has been focusing my energy into, you know, 1 or 2 areas rather than being spread across, because you're coming back into an area of familiarity and it's almost a trap kind of. So we're working through that and, finding ways to get involved. But
I heard your guys singing in a choir.
They
Amy,
keep trying. And
yeah, Amy got the invitation.
I might have heard it through the
are-
grapevine that there's a choir. I'm like, wait, what?
Amy,
oh, yes. Okay. So
Yeah.
my friend Katie does some of the music at our church, and they're trying to start like a contemporary mass, which you guys know is my jam. I'm all about that. So I haven't gotten around to it. It's on my hopes and dreams list of
I
things
love
to get
that.
involved in. But
It's great. We'll celebrate it. Once it happens.
Once
Yes.
it happens.
If you need
Maybe that's a good reminder.
Hey,
Do not ask Marco to help
if you need a guitarist, I've been practicing my whole life for this moment. I'm still waiting for my call.
Yes. He still wants to be part of our
Jeremy,
still wanna be-
Jeremy hasn't invited you to play.
Worship.
yet?
I had a
No.
tryout and it lasted 5 seconds.
He is not. He's welcome to sing in the church as loudly and as vividly as he
just
wants.
not in front of
He
people.
won't be
it.
sitting
God
in the
welcomes it,
front
yeah.
with a mic in the front of his face. Let me just tell you that much. So let's just end with that. From your perspective, what is one or two things for people in transition that the church could do to help to ease that transition?
I did get a buddy through Mothers of Young Children. I
That's
think
great.
that one-to-one is helpful.
Brilliant, yeah.
And I did fall into a category. Not everybody falls into a category. Some people are part of the school. Some people are part of the Mothers of Young Children. So it was helpful that I fell into a category.
And there was a support system for that category to
Right.
fit in. That's
Right.
brilliant.
But I think too, you do get out what you put in. And so
Absolutely.
we haven't put in as much as we would like. So we have some work to do there.
Yeah, we've gotten involved in, Amy is an usher at our parish and I'm a lector. And so getting involved in the liturgical ministry in that way. Here at St. Clement, we were more involved with like hospitality, which the ushers are sort of the welcoming crew at our parish. But I think just what we found at Clement was an overwhelming sense of invitation to say, hey, come try this out. And I think that works wonders for people that are in transition just to receive invitation.
And so much of what we've learned here has really gotten us excited to eventually help put in some of the practices, the hospitality, the welcoming, into our next parish. And hopefully we can help to instill some of that in other spots, because you guys have taken a lot of what a lot of different denominations do really well and brought that into the Catholic faith. And sometimes that's something that evangelization, all of that. And there's such a movement in the Catholic Church right now happening with evangelization, which is really exciting. So we're excited to take some of that and put that into where we are now.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's only one way that we can end.
Yes. I think Amy will do it for us.
Exactly.
Oh gosh.
Would you just pray
Deep
for
breath.
everybody in transition, Amy?
So Father Peter did this at our wedding. He was
Yes.
like, and Amy's going to pray now. I was like, oh dear. Okay.
And you did amazing. Of course you did
course
it.
you
I
did.
knew
I mean,
you'd do
you
an
knew this was
amazing job.
coming.
I would
How could
never
Oh,
do that on your
dear.
wedding day.
Oh man.
could you
Okay.
not
Okay. Here we
guess
go,
this was
everybody.
coming?
Deep breath. Take a deep breath. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the gift of community. Thank you for the people in this room who have poured into us, poured into Kevin and I, and poured into so many other people around the area. Lord, thank you for the gift that is St. Clement. Lord, I pray that every single person that steps into the church this weekend feels your love, feels welcome, and feels like they can find a home here and a community here. Lord, I pray over every parish leader who is listening, and I pray that you would give them the strength, the courage, the tenacity to just keep running after being a welcoming and hospitable community. In your name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, guys. What
Thanks
a
for
what a
having us.
gift, huh?
That was awesome. I don't know what guest is coming next, but I can't wait.